On this wonderful day when my book is officially out and able to be downloaded and read as soon as you click to buy it, I thought that I would release a little special video in celebration of this momentous occasion and the end of something that I worked on for over a year. So what I thought I would do in this video is to go through just 4 pictures in the Instagram feed, in Jaime's Instagram feed, and read excerpts out of the book that go with those pictures, because I've basically uploaded as many pictures as I can, and I will continue to upload more pictures every week so that you have a reference when you are reading the book for certain, so that you can put a visual to what you are reading. Unfortunately, all of my pictures of Jaime and Joey in South Africa are sitting in my boxes in Australia, and so I don't have access to them. But I have been uploading a picture of New Zealand, a picture from Australia, from the USA, and from Canada in rotation continuously since I announced that the book was available for pre-order. Because there's 5 sections of the book and they align to these 5 countries that Jaime lived in. So let's go to the first one, which is this one of my boys in their little cell in quarantine in Auckland, New Zealand. And so a little excerpt of the book that goes with this picture goes like this. What I neglected to mention about animal time is that the pain, loss, or abandonment that we feel when our humans desert us disappears immediately when we see these wretched creatures again. The day after we arrived in the cell, I was hiding in my igloo when I heard one of the sweetest sounds in the world. Boichies! This was one of Mama's nicknames for Joey and me, and is South African slang for little boys. Mama, however, pronounced it differently, and it sounded like boy cheese. I whipped my head up at the sound, while Joey darted to the mesh gate at the front of our prison cell. There she was, in all her little boyish splendor, staring at us through the wire. She fumbled with the lock and couldn't enter the cage quickly enough to wrap us in her arms. After managing to unlatch the gate, she came barreling through the doorway and grabbed Joey, who was right there to greet her. I was still hiding. After a quick squeeze, she handed Joey to the bombshell, who had climbed in after her, and came for me. Before I had even crawled out of my igloo hiding place, I was calling to Mama, who picked me up, weeping softly into my fur and squeezing me tightly. "My baby boy," she cried. "I'm so sorry. I love you so much." My engine kicked on immediately, and I purred like a tractor as she whispered constant apologies and words of love. In an instant, the past month of hell was forgotten. My mama had returned, and all was good in my world again. Excellent. Time to go now, I thought. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be time to go for another few months, but we had no idea of this at the time. Mama and the bombshell sat in the cage, chatting and loving on us for an hour or so. "Do they look a little thin to you?" Mama asked the bombshell. "I don't think so," she replied, knowing that Mama was overprotective of us and looking for any excuse to be more upset by the situation. "Did you miss us?" Mama asked, and we answered with a resounding yes. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. And next I will turn to this picture here, which, to be perfectly honest, is actually one of my favorites, with those come hither eyes staring over the edge of the bathtub that I had in the last house that I lived in Australia. And the excerpt of the book goes like this. After a visit to the vet to see what was going on, I was prescribed some medication for both the thyroid condition and the arthritis, alleviating some of my symptoms and pain, but there was nothing they could do about the kidney disease. It's a nasty illness and you just deteriorate slowly. She did her best to comfort me though, stopping every evening to soak her tired body in a bath before curling up on the couch with me to watch TV. When the curling up did not happen quickly enough, I had to speed things up by staring her down with my look of disapproval, my head appearing suddenly over the side of the bathtub, just the eyes floating there showing her the time was up. "Hello, face," Mama would say, laughing. "This is not funny," I shot back. "Time is up. Get out, get dressed, and let's watch some TV." Okay, she sighed. "I'm coming." Now we move on to an excerpt from our time in the USA. So you can see in this picture, I of course was watching football because I love football, and this face was basically showing me that he wasn't that impressed. Now, we were in the Days Inn in San Antonio, and here's the excerpt from the book. Mama had booked us into a motel for 10 days while she tried to convince someone to rent us an apartment, which was difficult with no current income to prove or social security number. Money was tight, so Mama smuggled me in to avoid the extra charges for pets, which meant that the curtains had to be drawn for much of the time to hide my presence in the room. She cancelled all cleaning services with the front desk, which suited her fine as Mama wanted some privacy anyway, having spent the last 3 months without any. She did her best to make herself food with only a microwave at her disposal, and spent her days applying for jobs and trying to find us a home. We were of great comfort to each other during that time, and Mama didn't leave the room very much for fear that I would jump up onto the window ledge and be discovered. After her elation at chasing a life she had wanted for years, she struggled in that motel room, alone and afraid. As her hope was waning, a dear soul acquiesced, and Mama was given an apartment to rent in North San Antonio. She was so excited and tore out of the room to sign the lease, whispering to me that we had a new home and that she would be back soon. It was great to see her relax a little. However, moving day didn't go very smoothly. So you'll have to get the book to find out why moving day didn't go very smoothly, but yes, there we go. And lastly, I will read an excerpt from Canada, and this picture was taken by the cowboy of Jaime. Not too chuffed anymore, as you can see in his face with all the traveling, but getting closer to the Canadian border and to being reunited with me, which was a wonderful, wonderful day. We traveled for 3 days to reach the Canadian border. The days seemed interminable, miles and miles of highway, stops for bathroom breaks and refreshments, and a soft bed at the end of each day. The cowboy was always so good with me, even in the car, despite the fact that I kept wanting to lie at her feet while she drove, testing her patience. Apparently, this was not allowed for obvious reasons to humans, but I was oblivious to the potential dangers. I wandered around the overpacked car, used my letterbox on the back floor when needed, and stared out the front window from time to time. I also voiced my displeasure at the long trip and the moving vehicle violation, but usually settled back down on the green blanket that had been placed on the passenger seat. On the 3rd morning, I'd had enough, and annoyed the cowboy by hiding in the motel room to avoid getting back into that car for another long day of endless driving. She was losing her patience, which, to her credit, was unusual. But extreme fatigue had set in, and she had steered us through traffic, towns, and rest stops, driving at least 8 hours a day. Finally, she coaxed me out and promised that we only had 1 more day of this endless traveling. Eventually, we arrived at the border checkpoint. Standing on the cowboy's lap with my front paws on the window ledge, I greeted the border control person with a small meow, whilst the cowboy handed over our documents. "Come on, let us in. Mama is a-waitin'," I said very politely. "What's the purpose of your trip to Canada, ma'am?" the officer asked the cowboy. "I told you, we're here to see Mama," I repeated. Apparently he didn't speak cat, and the cowboy answered his questions patiently and calmly. "Let us in," I repeated after the umpteenth question. And like a true gentleman, he did. The cowboy gently put me back on my seat as we headed to the hotel where later that night Mama would show her sweet little face. After 7 long months, I would hear her call my name. Okay, I hope you enjoyed those excerpts. I sure did enjoy writing them, and I hope that you fall in love with my little boy as much as I did.